Hi guys, Jill here. I've done a birthday card using the Stampendous Build a Bouquet set, as well as the Stampendous similar set that you can find at Michael's that includes the matching die cuts. So here's the front of the card, as well as here's the die set and stamp set that you can get at Michael's. And I also am going to show you, here's the die set from Tim Holtz. This is Celebration Word Script. And then I think, sorry, this is the inside of the card, and that's using the Build a Bouquet set, as well as the Karen Bernstein pop-up die with Sizzix. And that is now retired, but you can find a lot of pop-up systems to use. And then this is the paper from Michael's that I use. So we're going to start by decorating the paper. So I just used a whole bunch of different gelatos that I have. And I used a ton of different ways to apply them. So I'm working on top of a Ranger craft sheet, and mine's just sitting on top of my desk. And I just start by scribbling a bunch of different gelatos across this piece of resist paper. This is a clear resist, and the other one's a foil resist. So I just want to get water on these gelatos. I'm using my finger. I'll use a brush, I'll use that foam pad, I even use a rag. So I'm just trying not to contaminate the colors. And that's pretty much all that I'm doing. There is no great system to it. But the thing I learned about this paper from Michael's is the watercolor paper itself is not the greatest quality, so you don't want to rub it a whole bunch, and you do want to use a decent amount of water, but I didn't want to water the colors down too much, so that's why I don't rub it a lot, and I used a lot of gelatos. So that's what you see me doing here, is just kind of rubbing just enough to get the color distributed. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the foil piece that's on the inside, and I'm going to come in with some lighter colors of the gelatos. Again, just some random different colors. I don't have any specific sets, just some that I accumulated. This can be any watercolor medium that you use on this step. Just pretty much use what you have. Get some color on there. Heck, get some Crayola watercolors and just rub them across there. You're not looking for anything super fine here. I find that the gelatos are really milky. They're not a really high grade watercolor of any kind. And, you know, they're not made to be. And so I just like them for backgrounds. And at this point, I don't even have my gelatos. I found that they just weren't a very high grade. So I wasn't using them. I used my regular watercolors, so I got rid of them. And okay, so that's pretty much the backgrounds at this point. So let's put all of that away and get out a cat. So there Callie goes, and we'll have another cat come visit us, which is Caesar, the usual cat that visits us. So here's Callie milling around. Okay, so all of these images I have stamped with Versamark watermark ink and then embossed with the black sparkle embossing powder from Ranger. I'm using a water brush and my Peerless watercolors. This was before, it's a little older footage, but this was all before I put them into my new book that I show in a blog post, and it's actually the hummingbird. It's not too far back on my blog. Now, I'm going to show you you can see the colors along the bottom, but this is very simple watercolor. I'm doing very little blending. I'm putting down some water, And unfortunately, I do lose some of this footage. So along the bottom here, it's blue. But I'm actually going to come in along those rocks and add down a gray, which is pearl gray. I'm just letting you know that footage is lost. And then some of the footage of the flowers gets lost while I'm just putting in this water, which is pretty much I put down water, put in the blue, and then I'm just removing some of the blue. Very simple watercoloring, because this card has so many different elements. Don't get bogged down with any one thing. But with the flowers, I didn't even bother to blend them out at first because I'm going over them with a glitter pen in the end. And so like right here, I'm coming in with the yellow, and I'm going to blend out some of the yellow really lightly and come in with a darker yellow that's almost a brown, and just kind of to distinguish like the centers, the middle flower, and then I'm going to leave it at that. And you know, the leaves, and then the big flowers, the peonies, those I color all the same color. You'll see that, and I lose some footage, but what you're going to see is that I color the peonies all the same red. But then when you look at the still pictures, you're going to see that the peonies are actually different depths, I guess I'd say, of color, and that's because I come in at the end with the Spectrum Noir Glitter Clear pen. And because this is watercolor, the glitter pen is also water, so it's going to lift and move some of the color. So I use that to my advantage with the peonies, but with things like the leaves and the daisies and actually the bowl, I don't think I went in on the bowl, but the leaves and the daisies, I went in very, very light with the glitter pen. And again, you can see I'm doing very basic coloring. I'm just coming in with some water and then dropping in the color so it spreads out. But with the peony, I come in with that glitter pen, and I'm actually going to move my color around. And it's a shame that I lost that footage because it shows the color moving around, but you can see where the color moved around with the still footage and still pictures. But it's just very simple coloring. And then I'm only showing you the coloring of this one because obviously the glass jar version that goes on the front, it's identical. Now this image I cut out by hand with my Cutter Bee EK Success Cutter Bee scissors, but the front part I did cut out with the matching dies. This one has matching dies that come with this. The Stampendous ones cut right on the image and they line up beautifully. I did not get them, but I listed it in the supplies. If it's something you're interested in possibly getting, I do list that for you. But you know, they're handy to have. But I like fussy cutting, and so I cut out this image. So here's where I'm talking about where I just put one general color all over this flower, and then we get cut off. So when I do fussy cut though, is where I'm going to show you here, where I come in with the Memento Black. It's the Tuxedo Black pen, and I color all the edges, and that hides any bad cutting you may have done, and it makes it look more finished, more polished, and it's as simple as that. Now obviously I sped it up. And then I'm going to come in with my Tombow Mono Multi liquid glue, and I just stick all those flowers together and stick them to the jar. And then now we're going to assemble the card. Like I said, this is a pop-up card, and there's similar just basic pop-up cards out there that you can add it to. So I take the adhesive off of the one side. I just have a lot of double stick adhesive, and I'm sticking it to a horizontal base card. And that card I just rounded the edges. And sorry, I skipped footage there. And then I'm going to take the adhesive off of the other side and then just close it down on the card and then fold it together. Then I'm going to take off the layers that I cut just a little bit smaller, and that's the layer that I did color with the gelatos, and see how they dried lighter. And again, I will score that down. This is just a piece of decorative paper that I cut to fit, and I'll slide that in under that. And that's going to hide some of the mechanics. And again, I used my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper on all of these. And then this is that decorative paper that's going to go behind the flowers. And that's the one that you saw me make. So now I'm just going to trace where I want my adhesive, and you can't really see that, but that's what I'm doing just with the pen. And then we come back in with my Tombow adhesive, put some on there. It's a nice flexible adhesive, and it doesn't warp your paper. And I'll attach that behind my flowers. Hold it there a minute and then close the card so that everything's working. Now I'm using foam tape to attach this one to the front. And I use a generous amount of foam tape because that's just the way I am. I like to support my images. I know you don't have to, but I just figure that is someplace I'm not going to skimp. I spent a lot of time making this card, right? And there's a lot of enamel-y areas here. Oh, here's Caesar with his tail. Here's the sped up mad Caesar tail. Whoops. Okay, so for the first part of the die, the happy part, I'm adhering this directly onto the card. So I'm applying a whole bunch of dots with the adhesive and sticking that straight down. Now the birthday part, I'm using the foam adhesive, only I'm going to use black to match the die cut. And this is what I die cut out of cardstock with that Tim Holtz celebration words. And this is the script font. And so I'm going to cut those all down nice and thin. And again, using my EK Success scissors. I love my little Cutter Bee scissors. I've had these for years and years and years. And these are the same as the yellow ones, only mine were a special edition blue. So I'm going to attach these with the foam tape. And then the part that's going over the jar, I'm going to use the mono adhesive. And then I'm just going to attach them over those black squares. I'm going to use a little bit of the adhesive just to be safe. Like I said, I want this to stay stuck. Okay, so I'm going to attach that, and that finishes up this card. So this is a pretty extensive pop-up card, but I love how it turned out. And I hope that you do too. So I really do hope that you will hit the like button, and please subscribe to my channel and check out my blog. It's linked below. So thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great day.